Hello Seekers and welcome back to my channel. I'm Elsa Strange and today I'll be sharing my tips for neurodivergent witches as someone who spent the past year figuring it out for myself. But first, if you want to stay connected, I have a weekly newsletter called Letters from the In-Between, and each week I share my latest video plus deeper guidance or learning or reading or writing with a free gift in every letter. So when you sign up, you'll receive 2 resources right away. If that sounds good to you, I invite you to join with the link down in the description. And of course, if you are thinking about subscribing, this is your friendly reminder to do so, but of course, no pressure. Now, let's get into it. So tip number 1 is throw away any ideas of what your practice should look like. Because the rule books don't exist in this world, right? As occult and spiritual people, the rule books really are arbitrary. And especially for those of us who are neurodivergent, those of us who live this life, the rule books that do exist weren't even written for us. So throw away the what it should look like. Anything that was given to you by somebody else is an expectation. Anything you've picked up from an external source of what it should look like, throw it away. And I know this is a big one. I think this is my first tip because it's like the first most important step for you. I really had to learn this one, and it's that there is no should. There really isn't a should. It should look this way. It's really about what works. In the occult spaces, we are focused on results, not necessarily the how-to. So find what works for you and be kind to yourself in the process. I think this entire unlearning process is really uncomfortable for a lot of people. It can be loaded with a lot of shame or guilt or all sorts of other things when it comes to this. So be kind to yourself in the process. Know that it's okay for your life and your practice to look completely different. What matters is that it works, not how it looks. And if something just doesn't work for you, if you are someone who's like, I want to do full moon rituals every single full moon, but it never happens and it doesn't feel good that you keep trying and forcing yourself, don't force it. Don't force it. And if you have a burst of motivation or inspiration, I encourage you to chase that. Something I really had to unlearn in my practice is that a lot of people will tell you that you shouldn't chase that. You shouldn't chase that motivation, that inspiration. You should approach it in a consistent, like very slow and steady pace. But, I've really had to learn that that's sometimes the only juice I'm going to get. And if I don't milk it for all it's worth, I really lose out on that. So do 5 spells in a week if it feels right for you and they're working. If that's what works, then that's what works. So rather than feeling guilty for not feeling that motivation and inspiration all the time, use that to your advantage. See that for the opportunity that it is and chase it. Something that I will say forever until the end is you are your own best guide. You are your own best teacher, your own best guidebook. You are the one who will set the pace for your own practice. So trust yourself. That is the most important thing. Forcing yourself to do something that just doesn't work and just doesn't feel good is never going to be as fruitful as something that feels very natural to you. And that brings us to point number 2, which is find your natural rhythm. So let me start this one with a story. For myself, this year, I think it was probably around September, so we're in December now if you're catching this later, I really had to sit with the fact that I just never have consistent levels of energy. I am a low energy girl. I tend to get depleted very quickly, and so it can feel like I never have enough energy for what I want to do. And I really started to sit with the idea that I'm very sensitive to energies, and I would be as bold as to say most neurodivergent people are very sensitive to energies around them, whether they realize it or not. We'll get into that later. But I started sitting with the fact that the days of the week, okay, here's a good example. The days of the week, for me, just carry a certain vibe to them. Wednesdays are always very high energy days for me. I tend to host most of my live events on Wednesdays because that's when I'm feeling really good. So then I started thinking, when don't I feel good? How can I nourish myself a little bit better, understand myself a little better? And so I sat down and I was going through my calendar on my phone, and I was like trying to pinpoint the days that I'm not feeling good. And I recognized that every Tuesday and every Thursday, especially Thursdays, I tend to have lots of events and things that I want to show up to. I have lots of things going on Thursdays, and I consistently miss them every single time. And it's because I just have low energies on Thursdays. And Tuesdays, I host another private event on Tuesdays, and I tend to take the entire day prior to that event, which is in the evening, to rest. And that's really the only way I get through. And so I realized Tuesdays and Thursdays, not very high energy days for me. Saturdays are not low energy, but they are very slow and sluggish energy. Maybe not slow and sluggish. What's the word? They tend to be days where I'm kind of in a rigid mindset. I'm like, if I have an intention for a Saturday, that needs to be the thing. And I'm not really good at flexibility of mind and stuff on Saturdays. I've noticed that. So, that makes sense. Saturdays ruled by Saturn, all about restriction and boundaries and those things. So, all of that to say, you can begin to deduce when your own natural high energy and low energy days are. First of all, the benefits of this. The benefits lie in understanding yourself better, knowing when to rest, knowing what days you're more likely to need rest, knowing what days you're more likely to have high energy. It just helped me to schedule and shape my life around my own natural rhythms. So, how to start? How do you start deducing this for yourself? You can go at it like I did and look at your calendar, look at days where there are events or, outings and things that you're going to, and you miss them, or check back on when you're rescheduling stuff. You can kind of start to notice the patterns sometimes if you're someone like me with a full freaking calendar. Another option is journaling. Go back and, if you already journal, go back and look at the dates and notice what days you're feeling down or feeling tired or feeling low energy. Notice what days you journal the most and what you tend to be journaling about. You'll pick up a lot of patterns that way. And if you're not someone who journals already, you can start doing that. I encourage that. Or you can take notes on the days that you don't feel your best. So you can literally just make a note in your notes app on your phone, and when you come to a day where you're like, oh, I feel low energy, I don't feel great today, I feel kind of sluggish, all you got to do is go into that note app, put the date, maybe the day of the week, and a couple words, a handful of words to describe what you are feeling that day. And I would actually encourage you to start doing this fairly regularly if you're someone who can build it into some sort of routine you already have. Do this every day. It's just a really, really powerful tool. I know it is sometimes really hard to remember those things, but just do your best. Just do your best. And let's see. I want to point out here that strict routines and really harsh routines for yourself are not always helpful, especially for neurodivergent people. We really need flexibility. We do. But balance is important. You have to rest when you need to rest. That's so important. But you also have to have those dedicated days to building your skills, because you can't grow your skills without practice. So balancing those two things is really important. So Here is tip number 3 for you to help with that balance, and it is setting personal challenges for yourself. I really love to do this. This has gotten me through 2025. So, if you want to grow your skills, if you want to build them and strengthen them, set short-term challenges for yourself. The more fun and exciting you can make them feel to you in your own brain, the more likely you are to follow through. So, here's an example. For me, back in end of August, pretty much most of the way through September, I set up it was not really intended to be a short-term challenge for myself, but I decided that I really just needed to put a big old pause on life. I needed to pause. I needed to rest. I needed to slow down. And that is something that is really hard for me. I am a very go-getter person. And so what I did was I sat with this idea for a while. I kind of made little boundaries and rules for myself in this challenge. And I gave it a really cool name. So I called it a soul sabbatical, which was something that just came to me one day while I was journaling. It felt really cool. I loved it. And so that name and the idea of only spending time doing things that nourished me, only spending time doing things I really wanted to do, it felt all more exciting, so much more exciting to have a cool name and a fun idea and like hyping it up to myself and to my friends. So make this really fun for yourself as much as you can. And here are some examples of challenges that you can set for yourself just to inspire you. First, a really common one is a meditation challenge. Meditation challenge, I encourage you to be realistic on your length of time, because any of these could be any length of time. But you can also stretch your comfort zone. Choose something that's attainable, but will be a little bit of a stretch, is my personal advice. So set yourself up a 7-day meditation challenge, a 14-day meditation challenge, and make rules for yourself. Maybe you will sit for at least 2 minutes every day. Or maybe you will choose to set increasing length. The first day you'll sit for 2 minutes, the first 2 days. And then the next 2 days will be 5 minutes. The next 2 days will be 10 minutes. The next 2 days, and just keep building. Of course, if we're building our skills and you're someone who already does some meditation, but you want to strengthen them, go ahead and up that time length. This is very customizable, right? Another challenge option for you is a journaling challenge. This one I think is a really incredible challenge because for me, I find that even if I don't feel like doing a journaling challenge, if I don't feel like journaling, I can still open my notebook and sit down, write the date, and talk about why I don't want to journal. I can just write about why I don't even want to be doing this right now. And honestly, journaling is one of the skills that really came back for me in 2025. It's something I had not done in many years, and it has been vital. It has been vital for me in recognizing my own patterns, parsing out my limiting beliefs or my fears from like actual reality. It's helped me to brainstorm. Honestly, every single video I make, I journal about extensively beforehand. And it really does help me get all of my thoughts out. Sometimes I'll journal to like plan my following day. This is a really important skill. So, journaling challenges. Now, divination challenge for yourself. Pull a daily card every single day, or do a 3-card spread every single day for your chosen amount of time. A divination challenge is a really fun one. You can also mix that with like journaling. You know, you'll pull a card every day, reflect on the imagery, and journal about it for 5 minutes. So this is just, again, some ideas to get the juices flowing in your brain. Here's a good one. One of my favorites, an energy sensing challenge. For anyone who's wanting to up their skills, wanting in like the psychic area, if you're wanting to get better at sensing energy and understanding energy, being able to like pick up on the subtle cues and things, an energy sensing challenge where you like every single day you go to a new place or a new location in your home even and sense the energy. This helped me so much early in my journey. And actually if you want to get a breakdown of an energy sensing challenge and all the how-tos step by step, you can hop onto Letters from the In-Between. I'll make that part of one of our gifts for this week, for this video. Cool, love that. Okay, so if you want more of that, you can click the link and subscribe to that. Anyway, at the end of the day, these challenges, these personal challenges you set for yourself, they can be anything that you want to sharpen your skills in, anything you want to get a little bit better at. Yeah, just anything you really want to strengthen your skills in can become a challenge, and it can be as long or as short as you want. Make it more fun, hype it in your own brain. And we talk about a lot on, I talk about this a lot, where like your brain is magic. Your brain creates the magic. So if you can hype it up in your own brain and get really, really excited internally about this challenge, it will be far more effective for you, and it will be something that's easier to follow through on. So when it comes to the neurodivergent sort of things, we need that excitement, that novelty, for it to feel good and for us to even want to do it. So all of that to say, other ways you can make it fun besides a really cool fun name is, create a habit tracking chart. Like you can literally get a big piece of paper and a ruler and make some lines and then like check them off or put stickers on there and track how long you've done this, or do something really fun. You can also invite friends to your challenge or share progress updates with them. I think accountability with your friends is a really helpful tool in your toolbox as a neurodivergent person. Having people who are cheering you on and get you and just want you to thrive out there, that has been really helpful for me too. And remember, okay, if you're in the midst of a challenge or you're thinking about it and you're like hesitant because it's like, what if I hate it? What if it sucks? Remember that you don't ever have to return to this thing ever again. You could do a journaling challenge and by the end of it, you realize you freaking hate journaling and it does not work for you. That is okay. The point is not to do it forever. It's to try new things and to sharpen your skills and to prove to yourself that you can do it. I think those challenges that in the midst of them, they feel awful and they suck and we hate them, are really the ones that are the best at proving to yourself that I could do this thing. It sucked and I wanted to quit, but I did it anyway. And that is a badge of honor that you should carry with you forever. Honestly, it does help. I encourage you to go in with no expectations, no attachment to the outcome. Just go in with an open mind. Go in excited for whatever is coming. The more detached from the outcome you can be during this challenge and going into this challenge, the more likely you are to be adaptable and not get your hopes up and then have them shattered when you're not as great at meditating as you thought, or you're not as, clarity doesn't come from journaling like you thought it would. Go in just open to learning about yourself. That's the best way for you to really get the best outcome altogether. Tip number 4 is use timers and reminders. Timers and reminders go a really long way for neurodivergent people. And, don't feel bad for needing the help. I think that's something I really stuck in for a long time, just feeling so gross that I couldn't just remember to do the thing. I couldn't just get it done. And at the end of the day, some people need glasses and we don't guilt them for that. So don't guilt yourself for needing to set a reminder in your phone to give an offering or to pull cards over that one thing you thought about the other day, right? To set a timer for like, hey, remember, go check on this thing. At the end of the day, give yourself the tools that you need because you need them, and that's okay. It is okay. Some of the ideas for like what reminders can help you with, reminders can help you remember to do magical workings that you want to do maybe on a specific moon phase or astrological alignment, on a specific day of the week, or, follow-up workings. If you're doing something that has like multiple parts to it, I cannot stress enough, please put that somewhere where you will have it pop up to your face, like on your phone, on your calendar, somewhere. Make sure that you're giving yourself the tools you need to succeed, especially if you're gonna commit to something like a larger working like that. Offerings. I think this is one that I have used reminders for most, because if there's anything I'm gonna forget, it's the once a week, once a month offerings that I have to. There's no way. There's no way I'm remembering that. So I have found tools and tips and things for remembering, but offerings is a really good one. Moon phases, creating like something in your phone calendar somewhere, something that reminds you of the moon phases if that's something you observe, or solstices, Sabbats, like whatever it is. Something I really love to do is at the end of every year, I go into my calendar on my phone and I put in all of the full moons and new moons and retrogrades for the coming year, as well as the solstices and equinoxes. So all of those I will do at the end of the year is like a let's get ready for next year thing. So I do this in my Google Calendar every year, and it's super helpful for me to just like to just know that it's coming and know when it's here, because sometimes there were a couple times this year where I didn't have the retrogrades in my calendar. Didn't do that last year. And this year I had so many times where I was like, why is everything falling apart? Why is my computer acting so weird? Why can I not think straight? And everybody's like, oh, it's Mercury retrograde. I was like, damn it. Dang it. So like, yeah, give yourself the tools you need to thrive. Just know it is okay. If there's nothing else you take from this, it is okay for you to need the help. It's okay for you to need to do things differently. You do the best you can with the tools you have available. And whatever that looks like for you is absolutely fine. Speaking of tools, our fifth tip today is write things down. If you are someone who struggles to remember things, write them down immediately, because at the end of the day, the full expression of the idea that came in will fade. So write down your cool ideas, write down your questions, your insights that you want to follow up on later, write all of them down. Keep them in your phone. I encourage you to have one in your phone, just because often these things will hit when you're out on a walk or like in the middle of something where you're not sitting down in front of a notebook. And I like to keep them on my phone, but then transfer them to a notebook later on, because for some reason on paper just lands better for me. And so that's the tools I need to remember things. I really like to keep lists of ideas and projects that I want to eventually do, or that would be really cool. A couple other ideas for keeping track of these things: journaling frequently. Journaling frequently is like just my staple. This is what I'm carrying into 2026, is journaling freaking helps. Something else is voice notes. If you are someone who hates the tediousness of writing something down, or if it just doesn't flow as well, I encourage you to try doing like voice recordings. So I have an app on my phone. It was a free app, and I can just hit record and it will save the recording as well as a transcript, which is phenomenal for my neurodivergent brain, because I don't want to listen to a 20-minute ramble by myself sometimes where I'm just kind of like sitting in dead silence most of the time. I like to go through and read the transcript, so that's really helpful. It also like saves to the cloud. There's like all sorts of things that you can find. And I find that with voice notes, I tend to channel information just all of the time. Often I don't even realize until later, but I'll be talking about something and I'll be kind of spilling it all out, and then I'll say something that doesn't really land in the moment, but later on I look back and I'm like, oh, that's the thing that it took me 3 weeks to figure out. I had figured it out then. So I am often just channeling in these voice notes. And okay, let's side tangent moment. Okay, time for a side tangent. this is a hot take, and and I think some people will not agree with me, and that's fine. But it's something I really had to accept and learn for myself this year. It was not something I wanted to accept. Anyway, the point here I'm trying to make is people who are neurodivergent are just naturally more psychic. Like, you are just naturally more intuitive. And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. I'm really not. I Let's think about it from a logic perspective, okay? Because a lot of us are logic people. Think about just the overstimulation aspect, the distractibility, if you want to call it that, the absorbing all of this stuff all of the time. If you're someone who gets overwhelmed, overstimulated, it's because you're picking up on energy around you that you don't even realize. And there are just so many parts to being neurodivergent that makes you naturally psychic. Pattern recognition, my friends, pattern recognition is very, very psychic, or at the very least, sets you up for, like, once you open them psychic abilities, the pattern recognition is just such an important tool, such a powerful tool for parsing out the information that you get and trusting your intuition and what's intuition, what's anxiety. The pattern recognition in and of itself is very psychic. And really, at the end of the day, I didn't want to accept this about myself. It was something that I had been told by a mentor of mine, and I sat with, and I wasn't too keen on it. And it, sorry about all this smoke. I have incense going. Side tangent on a side tangent. If you're interested, I'm burning natural mint. It is all natural dried mint on an incense stick, and it smells lovely. So anyway, I sat with it for a long time. I was not comfortable at all, and it really took me this year spending a lot of days just burnt the heck out. So, like, meltdown level of overstimulation. Just, I can't do anything else anymore. I'm exploding. I'm imploding. And it really did take this, like, very serious, what is wrong? This has never been a thing before, for me to realize, oh, I've been revisiting my psychic abilities, opening them in new ways, and now I'm starting to see that my neurodivergence does contribute to my psychic abilities a whole heck of a lot. So, if nothing else, just know that you're probably going to be more empathic, more of an empath, picking up on the energies around you, knowing when things are just off, sensing when someone's not doing the greatest, sensing when someone has hidden intentions or is acting sneaky, right? Or just, like, walking into a space and suddenly feeling icky. Maybe there was an argument in that space the other day. Maybe there was, like, someone who got really upset. There's so many things that we just couldn't possibly know about, so many factors. So, if nothing else, just know that the energetic hygiene of it all may be a little bit more important for those of us out here. All right, side tangent complete. Neurodivergent people are more naturally psychic, period. But as far as writing things down, making lists, think of these lists as a menu of possibilities, not a to-do list. If you set yourself up thinking, I will do every single one of these, eventually you are only going to fall short of that, because if you're keeping a list, you're only going to keep coming up with more ideas to put on this list. It's going to get longer and longer and longer. There is just not enough time in the day, in a lifetime, to do all of the projects that I would love to do. So know that you'll never do them all. This is a menu of possibilities, not a to-do list. Set yourself up for success. All right, and tip number 6 for you is practice meditation. A lot of neurodivergent people think that they can't meditate, and that is not true. Generally, almost always, this is because we don't have the right idea of what meditation is. We think that meditation is this, like, no thoughts, only Zen. And that's not the case. It is not the case at all. I think there's like a couple or a type of meditation where that's the goal, but that's not even meditation is not like a singular thing. It is like the biggest umbrella term. There are so many types of meditation out there, and not every meditation is going to work for you, and not every type of meditation is even going to be healthy for you. So, all of that to say, we generally just don't have the right idea about meditating. Now let's talk about some of the way a neurodivergent brain works. Hyperfocus. Okay, if you've ever been in a hyperfocus state, this is a flow state. You ever notice that you get in there and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, where'd all the time go? That is because you've been in a flow state. This is related to the alpha brainwave state. This is a elevated brainwave state, I do believe. Honestly, that's not my specialty, but that's what I think. So this flow state, being in a flow state, is inherently similar to meditation. It is inherently similar to meditation. So right off the bat, you've already got that going for you. We've all been told that our brains are wrong and that they need fixed time and time again. This is the constant narrative. There's something wrong with my brain and I need to fix it. This is, I personally believe, this is why we feel so blocked around meditation, because we think it should look like it does for other people, for neurotypical people. And that's just not the case. So let's touch on what meditation is even, what does it look like? Meditation is not about not thinking at all. It's one type of meditation, a very like the common go-to is observing your thoughts. And I think this one is probably the most beneficial for self-growth, getting to know your internal world, your inner monologue, your fears, your limiting beliefs. This is a great place to dig up all of that stuff. So observe your thoughts. You're sitting here, you're noticing what comes up and just letting it pass. We're not attaching to it. You don't want to attach to the thoughts. Thoughts are just thoughts. I believe a common technique that people talk about is like visualizing your thoughts as clouds. As you have a thought come in, you're noticing a cloud and you just let it drift on by. We're not attaching, we're just observing. So this really is just the heart of meditation 101. It's not about thinking nothing, it's about observing your thoughts. If meditation is hard for you, here are some things you can try. Try walking meditations. Walking meditations are really great because you can do this outside and you have things to look at, you have things to take in. This could be a mindfulness technique, I'm not going to let my thoughts come in. I'm only going to observe what's right in front of me right now. I can think about those things, but I'm not going to think about tomorrow. I'm not going to think about yesterday. I'm not going to think about the to-dos or the whatevers. I'm just going to soak up everything that's in front of me right now. It's my favorite way to do a walking meditation. Another way to do this is, meditate while you're washing dishes. This is one I find is something people do naturally. You kind of get into that flow state, that Zen state as you're washing dishes. So let it be a meditation. You can also meditate while you are crafting, while you're sewing or crocheting or something with your hands. Doing things with your hands does help your mind to just do what it needs to do without getting all flustered and fidgety and knocked out of that meditative state. Another option is dance meditations. I find that moving your body, whether it's keeping your hands busy or like moving your body in some way, that really helps me to drop out of my conscious mind and into my subconscious mind. It helps me to let go of the noise and really get to the heart of things. A couple other options for you: use a fidget toy. Get something to mess with while you're doing like this thought observation, or sway. Do like a swaying rocking motion. I love this. That one will help me. The only trick is sometimes I'll get a little in my head about how I'm moving. So as long as you can balance the like letting it happen and not trying to attach to what your body's doing in the moment, That can be a little bit of a hang up for me personally, but I know that this one helps a lot of people. Rocking or swaying or moving with the breath as you go, those are all really great things. Guided meditations. Guided meditations are underrated, in my opinion. I think for neurodivergent people, guided meditations can be the key. When you just cannot get yourself to sit still and quiet and figure this out on your own, a guided meditation, a really good one, can really get you there. It's just helpful. It's so helpful if you have like the executive dysfunction stuff going on. A guided meditation, someone telling you what to do, so helpful. So helpful. And I'll also add in here that breath work is really helpful too. That one, breath work's really fun. There are like lots of breath works out there that will get you into that altered state of consciousness it's kind of like a drugless high, right? It's kind of like just high on life over here. Breath work is really good. It's great for getting some pep in your step, getting some clarity. Love breath work. And yeah, is meditation sometimes harder for neurodivergent people? Yes, but it is possible. It is absolutely possible. In fact, it's pretty vital. There are so many studies out there showing that it can help you be more calm and focused as a neurodivergent person. And yeah, it kind of sucks at first. It kind of sucks. But building the skill, strengthening that muscle, hi, it's me. I'm neurodivergent. And I, years ago, just challenged myself every single day. I've talked about this before on my channel, but it is just mind-boggling to me. I had never meditated before in my life. And I was like, all right, the internet says I should do 30 minutes every day. So I'm going to do 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night, or longer at night if I want to. And I found meditation hard at first, very hard at first. And I would have to set these timers to ensure that I was sitting there for enough time. But after a while, it became my escape. It became my personal retreat where nobody else mattered. I didn't have to worry about the to-dos. I didn't have to worry about anything. I could just be in myself for a moment. And I got really good at visualizing. I was able to just like imagine up a space. You go to like these guided meditations and they walk you through like a guided visualization of these beautiful places. Imagine if you just sat with yourself enough in meditation that you could start doing that on your own. You could just say, hey, I actually want to go to the beach today, and visualize it and go there. Of course, I know visualization isn't available for everyone. That's not a skill everyone has or can develop, though most people, I don't want to, it's not my story, it's not my experience, but I have heard a lot of people say that most people who believe they can't visualize just don't know how to build the skill. So I'll just stick that here because I don't know anything about building that skill. Can't help you on that one. Not in this video, at least. So last thing I'll say on meditation is not every meditation is for everyone. Some meditations are shown to do more harm than good for those with like trauma, PTSD. I believe mindfulness for anxiety disorders can be like not great. Body scan meditations for people who have PTSD, those things can be unhelpful. More harm than good here. So what I'll say about that is always trust yourself. Remember, you are your own best guide. So if what you're doing in meditation does not feel good, it doesn't feel good, you don't think it's helping you, don't do it. Don't force yourself to do it. Trust yourself in that, but don't give up. Try something else. I've never heard anyone say that like a guided visualization is not a good idea. It is ungrounding. So make sure you're grounding yourself and keeping up on that. But yeah, just go out and have fun. Observing your own thoughts, just sitting and observing your own thoughts, focusing on the breath. Those are very safe meditations. It's okay. So yeah, at the end of the day, know that meditation didn't originate as just like a fun pastime. It really did originate as like very powerful practices and medicines for people. So we this is a bit of a side tangent, but we've really watered down and taken meditation from what it originally was and like made it very Western, made it very palatable. So, yeah, mindfulness has actually shown to be the most dangerous meditation out there. And everybody's talking about mindfulness. Everybody's talking about mindfulness meditations, and they are proven to be like the most harmful as far as like contraindications and like bad reactions to this meditation. So I'll just stick that here. If you're someone who's tried certain types of meditation and it just doesn't vibe with you, try something else, because there are endless amounts of things you can go with here. And now, point number 7 is navigating slumps in your practice. And I got lots of tips nested under this one. So, as neurodivergent people, we will experience periods of disinterest, just like not feeling it in our practice, these slumps, right? First of all, this is normal and this is okay. This is normal, all right? Do not feel bad. Do not guilt yourself for not feeling it anymore, because this is just bound to happen at some point. What is going on in your brain is you're not getting the dopamine you used to get from your practice. Whatever excitement and wonder and novelty you were getting is no longer here, because it's become normal. It's become just sort of bland, and that is okay. So people talk about this. I've seen other videos on navigating the slumps in your practice, and this is the reason I wanted to make this video, okay? This is the reason, because I've been through many slumps in my life, many slumps of I'm doing this thing, it's going great, now it's not fun, on to the next thing. It's very classic ADHD behavior, truly. I have been an artist where I've sold physical paintings and works of art. Then I was a digital artist and I sold commission pieces that I made personally for clients. I used to make and sell jewelry, right? I used to crochet. Oh my gosh, I was obsessed with crocheting, with sewing, and I even sold those things too. I worked in social work for many years. I went to college and pursued a degree in mental health counseling, right? Like, I've done so many things in my life. I have, within my practice, I've deep dived on herbs and spirit work and ancestors and curse removal, removing negative spirit attachments and like animal spirits, and just there are so many things, color magic, planetary magic. I've deep dived on so many things, and I used to feel really awful. I used to just feel really awful that I couldn't stick with it, and I didn't make it my thing forever. It just eventually didn't feel good anymore. And the longer I go, the more I realize what a freaking gift it is. Truly. You know, I host a community. I have like lots of spaces where I'm sharing my knowledge, and all I ever hear, especially from the people who like sit down and talk with me one-on-one, is like, wow, you really know so much about so many things. And it is this like jack of all trades energy. I do just kind of know a lot about a lot. And I can't say it's because I'm like the smartest person in the world or I'm the most dedicated person in the world. It's because I've always just chased that dopamine. I have always just deep dive when something feels good in the moment. And yeah, like a lot of those things I don't do anymore. I don't make art professionally anymore. I don't, but I do bring those things into my practice currently, into my life currently. There is not, and I mean this wholeheartedly, there's not a single interest that I have deep dived into and obsessed over and it became my whole thing that has not been worth it. That I would not say today has been worth it. Even working in social work, right? This really informs how I hold my live spaces and, the services I offer, the healing services and the different readings and things I offer. Social work is like the foundation. It is like the pillars of what I do. My work with art, being an artist, informs how I, move about my practice. It helps me understand how the aesthetics of not just what I'm creating, but what I'm wearing, what I'm smelling really changes things. It helps me to understand the difference between a spell that I threw together and a spell that I can feel as I'm making it. And jewelry making, right? Jewelry making is something that surprisingly I still do a lot of. I make these devotional bracelets, I make them for my friends. I have kind of incorporated that into some of the teachings I've done. I did Modern Mystic Academy for a while where I was helping people to build their practice, and it was a course. And in that, we learned how to make talismans and amulets. And this this was informed by my work as, doing jewelry. Even the psychology degree that I did not finish, by the way, didn't finish that, but it does inform my spell work. It does help me choose what herbal allies are going to help the situation, what energies are going to balance, what's the potential pitfall of pumping myself so full of confidence that I believe myself to be indestructible. Well, I might say something foolish, I might get a little egotistical, and that's like very surface level. But my psychology degree has helped me to understand the workings of a mind so that I can really weave my spell work into what exactly that person needs at the time. So all of this to say, let yourself chase the dopamine. Let yourself follow the pull. It doesn't have to be forever, but as long as you're having fun, as long as what you're doing in the moment feels good, then you are doing exactly what you need to do. Don't feel bad about dropping what you're currently doing and trying something completely new because the thing you're currently doing doesn't feel good anymore. Because I speak from experience here. I speak from my own lived experience that there has not been a single thing that I really loved and I pursued that does not still currently help me in what I do today. All of it matters. All of it has helped me. So hopefully this can help you to reframe this slump period and like shifting through different interests and hyper focuses. That's my goal here, is that you can feel a little better about chasing the dopamine and just doing what you need to do to feel good, honestly. Now, let's say you've landed yourself in a slump period and you don't know what to do. Here are a few things you can try to wiggle yourself free of the clutches of this slump. So first is try something new. You can either take a completely new direction. Maybe you've been really focused on herbs and working with plant magic, nature magic. Pivot to plant spirits. You can honestly jump into planetary magic. So, try something new. Try something that feels exciting. You can take a little bit of what you've been working on, that learned knowledge, and pivot in a new direction. You can also apply it in a new way. So maybe you've been learning a lot about herbs, working with herbs in your spell work, in your rituals. Maybe you'll start making oils. Maybe you'll start doing flower essences or, different charged oils and waters. Maybe you will start making incense, right? You can take a whole new direction, or you can apply what you've learned in a new way. And for me, that's my favorite way to do it, is what have I been learning and how can I apply it in a new way? This does really help layer your skill building and reach that level of wow, you know so much about everything. So another option for these slump periods is rearranging your furniture, rearranging your space, redecorate, especially the space that you do your magical workings in. And this sounds so mundane, but I'm telling you, it works. There is something to be said for the energetic piece, the part where energy gets really stuck and stagnant. And if you're not moving all of the furniture and rearranging everything, or even just putting it back, but if you're not moving furniture out and cleaning out behind it, energy is getting stagnant, and that is going to build up and get stagnant, right? You're going to pick up on that. Your brain is naturally more intuitive. You're going to pick up on the stagnantness. That's not a word, I don't think. But also on a psychological level, the fresh feeling of walking into your space and it's all rearranged, it's all redecorated. It once again feels novel and exciting and new and fresh and cool. And so Yeah, that can really shake your brain out of a slump sometimes. Um, you can also buy yourself a new tool. Like I say this like with caution, very cautiously, if it is possible for you, if that's not going to hurt your finances, and if you'll actually use it. If you will actually use it, because I am never going to be the one to encourage you to go buy a bunch of stuff that you'll never use. That's not that's not my vibe. I don't think that's good for anyone, but if you need that boost and you've been wanting something and you know you'll use it for a million things, buy the tool. Sometimes that can bring enough excitement and novelty back into your life to shake off the slump. Um, or if you're feeling that slump and you want to try a new direction or something, maybe you have been working with oil or herbs and you want to start working with oils, buy yourself a new tool, meaning get your hands on some mason jars, thrift that stuff, go buy, a carrier oil, and then start doing your magic, right? That can be your new tool. But just be sure you are exercising caution in this, because it's so easy to impulse spend thinking that it's going to fix everything, and then we end up with so much stuff. So at the end of the day, to get out of a slump, really what you need is to cultivate novelty, cultivate wonder, that wonder about life again, that just the awe of it all. Because I don't know, I think childlike wonder is a powerful freaking tool. Childlike wonder changes things. It changes your brain. So cultivate some wonder, some novelty, aka dopamine. Aka give it the spice. Make it feel good again. Give it some sparkle, right? That's all you're looking for. And if you have something gives you that dopamine rush, maybe it's a book, maybe it's whatever, cultivate that for yourself, whatever that looks like for you. Now, finally, if you have tried to get out of this slump, you've tried and tried and tried, done all the things, and you can't get out of it, the best thing you can do is accept the rest. Accept rest, my friends. Fighting it at that point will only drain you. It's going to waste your time and energy. It is ultimately a waste to fight when your whole body, mind, and spirit are screaming for rest. Fighting that at some point is just not doing you any good. Sometimes it is that you just need a new approach, and sometimes it is you need to rest. There's a reason you feel this way. There's a reason you feel this way, and whether it is a lack of dopamine and you've tried to spice up life, or that's not working for you, trust that your mind and your body are not betraying you. I feel like someone really needs to hear this. I know I needed to hear this at the beginning of the year. Trust that your mind and body are not betraying you. Trust that you really just need the rest. And it is okay to need the rest. We all need it sometimes, especially for us neurodivergent people. We're always picking up on everyone's vibes. Yeah, so remember that you don't need to figure out why either. You don't need to know why you need a rest. It's okay. Sometimes we're never gonna know, and that's okay. It's actually fine, okay? So trust it, rest, and focus on what feels good in the moment. This was me back in August. This was me in that soul sabbatical era. I was resisting the slump so hard. I was fighting it tooth and freaking nail, bro. It was a mess. But what I've learned is trust the process. Trust that something's coming up for a reason, and rest yourself. Rest your body and your mind. I know it's so easy to think we're resting and then actually our mind's going a million miles a minute. Rest your body and your mind and your spirit. Focus on what feels good in the moment, what nourishes you. And if that means not engaging with your magical or spiritual practice at all, that's okay. Because at the end of the day, if I've learned anything, accepting the rest, even if it's like, we're not talking like a month-long soul sabbatical, but sometimes it's just a day. And sometimes the best thing you can do with a crap day is just make the most of it, meaning let yourself rest. And doing this, I have found as the day comes up and you're having a rough one, letting yourself rest leads to you feeling better, getting that motivation back much sooner, and it lasts longer. It lasts longer. You will go a longer period without the slumps. Of course, I can't speak for everyone on this one, but it does just kind of make sense that if you're rested enough, things are just going to go better for you altogether. So that is all I have for you today. Let me know in the comments which part of this video was most impactful for you. I'd really honestly love to know. And I answer all the comments, I read them all, so do that down there. And if you have any of your own tips, feel free to share them if I didn't mention them. I'd love to hear those as well. If you would like to stay connected, you can sign up for Letters from the In-Between for extra magic, and also the link to my Discord community, or to join me in live events. All of that's in there. If you enjoyed this video and want to catch more upcoming magic, this is your final friendly reminder to subscribe if you'd like. Thanks for stopping by my channel. May the energy you give return to you in abundance, and may you always perpetually grow. Stay curious, friends. See you in the next one.